How you doing? This is D Chorus,
After Elemental.
and this is Through Our Lens. Today we want to talk about cryptocurrency and the little things that's going on in the world, especially surrounding financials, money.
Scams. I want to talk about some scams. I want to get to some scams.
Ooh, scams is real out here, man.
So you mentioned cryptocurrency. What have you learned? What do you know about it?
Well, from what I know about cryptocurrency is just that I actually came about or was exposed to it through Silk Road, which is a website I think that was created by Ross William Rubridge.
Yeah.
And it was what you can buy online. So women, drugs, guns, organs, tanks. There's a lot of things you can buy online, and you will have like the Metasphere, money that you can just pay because a lot of transactions that was happening were illegal.
Right.
So he's locked up, but the Bitcoin thing stayed around because there was so much money poured into it and generated around it. And you still could navigate it without actually having a face to it, more or less.
So it was like anonymous way to purchase stuff online, right? Now, it's interesting you mentioned about him because, that's my field. So cybersecurity, digital forensics, that's my field. So I remember when we were studying him, we was talking about how people was going on the dark web. He had this Silk Roads on the dark web, and there's different Silk Roads now, different variations of it. So as soon as they got them, there was another variation, 2, 3, 4. Now I don't even know what variation it is, but get on the dark web, you could buy all these illegal things, and this takes me back to a paper, not a paper, but something I read in the New York Times in 1997 when they were talking about moving into a cashless system.
Wow.
And they said that in the New York Times, they said, well, people support the dollar, which is backed by faith. So they could support a computer credit that's backed by faith over a physical, tangible dollar.
I think that's where they would like to go. When you look at crypto and all that, it's not federal legal, or
right.
They didn't put their stamp on it, more or less.
Right.
But if they can't control it, then they're not going to approve it. So it's more to say.
They said that. They said that.
So if they can control it, then of course they will pour all into it. But to me, crypto is somewhat of a scam because it's electronic transfer of funds, right? So that don't have a face.
Right. Well, here's an interesting thing that you're saying that, because when they was talking about moving into this future without actually having physical money, like we get paid, we get direct deposit, right? We get these different things. They say EFT, whatever, but that's credits, right? Because like even when we're looking at the situation with the banks today, they don't actually have the money on hand, right? If you went out and said, "Yo, I got 100,000, I need to get my 100,000 out," they don't have it.
No,
They can't give you your 100,000 that your account shows that you have. They can't give it to you. You need to give them time to get it, right? So we dealing in credits right now. But crypto is the interesting thing, because it was one point where I had some money and I wanted to invest in the Bitcoin, right? In the generation of Bitcoin, which they call Bitcoin mining, right? Okay. So I did the research with a Russian classmate of mine. At the time I was a student. I had some money. I was like, I think I could throw 50,000 into this, right? And then I looked at the market and what it takes to be a Bitcoin miner. No bueno. Like, it was ridiculous. So I researched this Chinese company in China who was mining it that had 6 sites with 3,000 computers each mining Bitcoin. Their so the cost to mine Bitcoin, it costs you electricity. You have to you can't take a regular computer or even a MacBook Pro or whatever, or a Mac Pro, and say, I'm going to mine Bitcoin. You need these high-end computers with a bunch of GPUs. The computers is like $1,500. At that time, it was around $1,500. So they said that their electric bill was $1.5 million a month for their 6 sites to generate Bitcoin. And every time you crack a puzzle, it's a puzzle. It's a mathematical puzzle to generate the Bitcoin. every time you crack it, you get like 25 Bitcoin or something like that. So they was doing these puzzles, and they had all these machines, and they had to pay IT staff to keep the machines running. People were spending the night at the shop. These computers run all overtime, never turn them off, right? So if that was a crash course on how Bitcoin is generated, in case y'all didn't know, I just gave you a quick crash course. So just send me the check in the mail. So I studied the blockchain.
Gotcha.
I studied how all of this stuff worked, and the security of wallets, right? There was a student in the class who was cracking thousands of Bitcoin wallets in real time as his project, and he showed us how he was doing it. You know, so people out there with these wallets that are not really secure, I'm just telling you, there was a student in the class who was cracking thousands of Bitcoin wallets in real time. Like it was taking less than a second to crack it, right? And he was doing thousands of them.
Wow.
So that's another conversation. This was back in 2017 when I was a student, right? But this Bitcoin being used for criminal activity was one of the main drivers of Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's most definite. That's because it's so much illegal stuff happening on these websites, dark sites, and
they was doing child pornography, all that stuff.
well,
like,
that's
on dark web, using Bitcoin, right? Buying guns. They were shipping drugs through the mail, so they knew how to ship drugs through the mail where it won't be detected, right? It's amazing sometimes when you think about this stuff. But Bitcoin had a great increase and then it decreased, right? All of this crypto stuff, and there's different kinds of coins.
yeah.
There's Bitcoin, there's Ethereum, there's Dogecoin, there's all of these things. And one of the reasons why I told you that I wanted to do this podcast is because there's all these scams.
And people don't realize that, because when they hear about how much money is being made and how much somebody came up, they're not realizing that money is not physical money, right? It's electronic funds. So once again, it's what's in the bank, the same thing we has in the bank, and it could go belly up. A lot of people lost a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? When you look at Silicon Valley Bank, right? Like you said, they didn't have the money in the bank. They didn't have it. So if you have if you go say I want 10 or 15,000, you got to call a day or two before, but they could generate the money. So I feel like they're trying to move to EFTs, right? Electronic funds transfer, because at the end of the day, there's not enough money. Banks don't have money. I wish people realize that, like, you know what I'm saying, they don't have money, they have other people's money. They utilize other people's money, and that's what's really going on. So when you talk about the scams, it's just the crypto is another scam to get people money.
Well, I'm like, even going into the banks, looking at it, you take your bank, we had this in another podcast, we talked about it. You take your money, you say, I'm gonna put it in the bank, right? I'm gonna put it in a checkers account, or I'm gonna put it in a savings account. Savings accounts pay more, right? And I told you that savings accounts on average for the banks pay 0.06%, not 6%, 0.06% interest, right? And that bank takes your money and they lend it out or they invest it, right? So, you know, banks have credit cards. You see the credit cards with these high interest rates and all of this. So my interest rate is 20-something%. Okay, that's one of the ways they're making money. The other way is what you just saw in Silicon Valley Bank. They took the money, invested it in long-term government bonds that only paid like 1.5 to 3% interest. And it was long-term. These bonds wasn't short-term. So the conversation about what happened with the banking is when the government, when Biden said, we're going to put money in pockets of everybody. Remember that conversation?
Yeah.
And he said, we're going to give you a tax. We're going to do something with we're going to put cash in your pocket. And I think it was $3,500 a person. So, like, example, me and my wife, we got $7,000, right? We was like, oh, Biden put money in our pockets, yay. And then it was tax time. And it was like, we need that money back. You see what I'm saying? So it was really like a loan against your taxes. It was an advance.
And that, yeah,
And that drove up the interest rate. So the problem is if you got long-term bonds and these bonds mature over a long period of time and they only 3%, but your interest is at one time it was 7 or something like that, or went to 8 and then it came back down to 6 now, you losing money.
Yeah.
Your investment is losing money because your investment is not paying out what the interest rate is for that year. You 3% in the hole. They sold their investments that they had long term. They sold their investments and that wiped out a whole bunch of money. And then people did what they call made it run on the bank. They saw that the bank was mismanaging the money, and they said, "I want my money out."
As they should. America is what, $31 trillion in debt. 31 trillion. That's the deficit. The deficit is 31 trillion. So that's a lot of, money that gotta be cut.
Who does America owe $31 trillion to?
Well, they're 31 trillion. That's the deficit for America, right? Right. But they owe China about 388 trillion. Like that's just how much they owe China.
I don't even know how to count that. But
I don't know how to count that either.
That's a lot.
That
$388 trillion they owe China.
Yeah. So it's about that.
The person you owe. So is that safe to say? I don't know. China owns America in a sense.
That's if you look at how fast Asian laws get passed, we might say, we could say that, right? Like, what is the property how much property they own? Like, so it's not only America. When you look at some of the Caribbeans, you look at some of the Africa, right? They're,
that's a big number, man.
Yeah, that's a scary number, right? But the scarier number is out of the 31 trillion deficit that we have right now. 33% of that deficit comes from Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security.
So that's social government programs.
Yes. So you have 63 million people enrolled in Medicare. You got 84 million people enrolled in Medicaid, and then I don't got the other numbers. The other half is Social Security. So
how much do you have the numbers break down for Social Security, or is it just in divisions? Because my question is this: they take Social Security out of my check, right? Yeah. They take it out of your check,
and we ain't gonna be able to get it.
So everybody paying attention is particularly the young people. When they take this money out your check for Social Security, it's not for you. It's for the people who are already collecting Social Security. So we are paying for somebody else's Social Security.
22 million people on Social Security.
22 million people on Social Security. So we're paying for somebody else who's collecting currently. And the way the system is designed is to have young people pay for us.
Yes.
But the conversation I'm hearing is it's not going to be Social Security when I retire.
No, when you look at the deficit, they're going to have to start cutting some things. So that's one of the things that's on the table that they're trying to cut now, right? Is that Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, right? So they got to cut the fat somehow.
But it's questionable to me. I'm going to tell you why that is being targeted for. Why it's questionable that that's being targeted. That is money they are already taking from us.
Yes.
So the money they are taking from us pays for the program.
Yes.
How are they going to have access to that money to pay for deficits that has nothing to do with this program? I mean, I know it's government. I know it's kind of a silly question because they're going to do what they want to do, right? But there's a lot of questions about money. Like,
well, a lot of these systems that's put in place almost operated as a Ponzi scheme. That's the reality to what it was. Like it's a Ponzi scheme. Like, so going back to the banks, they don't have the money, right? It's all illusion. They make it seem like the money's there, but that's other people's money. So it's the same way we're paying into systems that's not going to be there 20, 30 years down the line when you need it.
Well, I'm going to say for all the people who's checking us out, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. We need more subscribers. Look up Ponzi scheme, right? And look up this. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Fractional reserve banking systems. Fractional reserve banking system. Because that's kind of the current banking system that we use. Look up what that means. And then drop something in the comments when you find out, or people who already know, drop something in the comments. And we can have a discussion, further with just comments, right? Or maybe we'll do part 2.
Yeah. And, the more comments that we get in, we'll start opening up the lines to have dialogue, with live people.
Because we do have the capacity to do live, but we need to have more subscribers before we could do that. So we definitely need you to hit that up. So we're talking about this, going to the bank, talking about this crypto. I want to kind of hone in more on this crypto because money kind of being generated out of thin air. It's not out of thin air. It's a currency, right?
Yeah.
It's a currency. So like back in the day, if we chose a piece of wood, a currency, it would be a piece of wood, right? We chose, back then it was precious metals, gold, silver, bronze, stuff like that, copper, whatever it was. And that was our currency. And now those are more scarce metals now, right?
Yeah.
So, but it's tangible. You could touch it, and there's a finite amount of it. There's not unlimited amount of gold, silver, and all that. There's a limited amount. That's why they price go up every year, right? But this crypto, I told you, they generating just by running the algorithm. Now, the scams is the biggest part of it because you have millionaire people who are like 18 to 22. All they do is run scams.
Yeah.
All they do is run scams. And what are the scams? You know of any crypto scams? Because I'm going to tell you a few that I've run into.
Well, only crypto scam I know is they asking for your money to invest in crypto.
Yeah,
like
that's
you
a
know what I'm
scam.
saying. You want to take my real-time money and invest in something that not many of us know about crypto. Like everybody think they know about crypto, or they might heard of somebody that was fortunate enough to get money from crypto or make a profit from crypto. If you would do a survey, more people got beat from crypto than made money from crypto.
Yeah.
Or lost money from crypto than made a profit from crypto. So, to me, like I said, once again, it's a metaphor type of currency. And I just feel like that was the wave during that time because of all the illegal activity that was going online. But it's still going on.
Right.
It's still going on because it's not going to go away because America now trying to move to electronic funds transfer, which means metaphorical money. So if there's no money and everything is just like electronic, you don't got to worry about nobody crashing the banks anymore, right? Because, this is your card, this is how much you got. We can manipulate that, move that. That's just how it operates. So it has to be controlled by the system, by the government.
Well, I think the strength of Bitcoin, the reason why it's so strong is because it is accepted internationally. It is one of the coins of choice. They have a lot of different coins of choice, coins. They have Ethereum. They have something called Monero, which we go into that a little later. But it's a coin that a lot of criminals like to use because it hides your transactions and fake transaction. It creates like every real transaction, it makes 10 fake ones. And I'm not trying to tell people how to be criminals. I'm just trying to tell you that there's different coins out there, right? Now, the Bitcoin conversation and the crypto itself, crypto conversation, the scams, right? So I just want to give people a few pointers. Again, I'm telling y'all, this is kind of my line of work, right? Cybersecurity, digital forensics, right? This is my line of work.
Get your notepads and pens ready, y'all.
I'm going to give you a few things. Anytime somebody is telling you you need to transfer money through Cash App to them, 99.9% of it's a scam. Because once that money goes into their Cash App wallet, you're not gonna see that money no more.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go a little deeper than that, because when a person wanna scam you, they offer you the unbelievable deal that you would have to be a fool to say no.
Gotcha.
So this is what it is. So it's a lot of psychology. A lot of these scams is based on exploiting the victim's greed. It's greed. It's greed based.
So playing with the emotions.
So you tell a person, hey man, I know how to make 10 times returns on Bitcoin or crypto on our trading platform. So I'm going to tell you this. If you can't Google the trading platform and see that it's legit in the sense of there's a lot of talk about it, but not just talk about it because that's part of the scam, they will get people to talk about it. But look at Better Business Bureau, BBB.org. Look up the website, right? Who owns the website? This is all public knowledge.
And not to cut you off, and that's why you have to do research, right? You know, I was watching a documentary, and like I said, the young people with this technology and social media, they were able to put, if you type whatever they was doing, it would come up in a search engine first.
Yeah.
So the first 3 or 4 will automatically pop up. So you would assume that this was a credible site when it's really not. So
It's an
you
ad. It's sponsored.
So you have to do a lot of due diligence.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, when you doing that. But go ahead.
BetterBusinessBureaus.org is one of the sites. They'll tell you about complaints against businesses, all of that, right? But they tell you, oh, we're going to give you 10 term, and they say, you know, this is how the scam works. So I'm going to break it down to you. This is how the scam is. They say, you send us money through Cash App or Bitcoin through Cash from your Cash App wallet or whatever you have to their wallet. They're going to give you their wallet. Generally, the wallet is new, right? Let me tell you something about wallets. You can search wallets online and find out the transactions these wallets have, because once something is transferred, it is now public information. So they say you can't track the person and know who the person is who owned the wallet, but you can see everything that that wallet did, right, from the time it was created. And you can see all the wallets that wallet transferred to.
Now, explain to the people that what a wallet is.
A wallet is like your bank account for your crypto, right? So crypto is not held in a traditional bank account. It's held in a wallet. They call it a wallet, but it's actually a long string of characters. It's like encrypted. It's a code that this is your container to put your Bitcoin in. And it holds multiple Bitcoin, multiple coin, period. So it can hold Dogecoin, it can hold Ethereum, it can hold Bitcoin, it can hold, there's a whole lot of coin out right now.
Gotcha.
And it's easy for somebody to create their own coin. This is how one of the scams work. It's called a rug pull. I'll tell you about that in a second. But they create coins, they put it online and say, oh, this is the new coin and it's doing well, and because they put a little money into it first, coin is doing well, and this, then everybody else wants to get rich because they see the coin doing okay. Soon as they put their money in, the person just takes all the money and walks away. That's called a rug pull, right? And now the coin, like soon as everybody put their money in, the initial people who started the conversation about the coin and put the money in, they pull all the money out. Now the coin's worth nothing. The coin's worth zero. It's useless coin, right? So that's called a rug pull, and this is happening a lot. I just saw a show where they were talking about this rug pull, and this guy was like, the biggest money they made on a rug pull was $60 million. And they made it in like a few minutes. And they was in Dubai spending money. These young people under the age of 20, 25. They in Dubai, they renting out villas, and they doing all this stuff off of the rug pull. Now that's one. The other one is, like I told you, the 10X site. So here's another tip. I should be charging you for this tip.
Should.
Anybody who says, contact me through Telegram with this investment opportunity, no. And not just, listen, I don't hate anybody, but if you talking about security and being concerned, Telegram was started by a Russian person. Nobody talks about that. The founder of Telegram is a Russian.
So you know.
Okay? So now you know. Just like they talk about TikTok, Chinese, whatever that means, whatever. But I'm telling you, in Telegram, you could delete accounts, you could delete messages, they could expire. There's things you could do. right? So somebody send you a message and if you're on Telegram, screenshots of your friend, right? Just another tip, right? But you on Telegram, somebody send you a message and poof, the message gone all of a sudden. Like they sent it to you, you saw it, you responded. It's like, yo, I don't have no proof that nothing happened because that's why they on Telegram. Okay, so it allows you to clean your traces of your communications.
Can't have no
so
breadcrumbs.
Telegram, no. Somebody tells you, listen, buy this, send me some money, I'll purchase this, and you're going to get a link to the website that's going to show you how much your gains are. The website is fake. The gains are made up. The gains are made up. So back in the day, I'm going to go back and then I'm coming back. Back in the day, it used to be Wall Street stock investment scams, where people used to target senior citizens. And they'll go to senior citizens, because I saw this happen to somebody who I cared about. Senior citizen, she retired. She actually worked in the kitchen at my high school. So I remember from that. My mother called her Umi, which means mother. So my mother kind of adopted her as a mother. And this woman had some money. She was retired. She was doing good. And then some other brothers, I'm going to say it like that, hey, we could show you how to get rich, and boom, boom, boom. They had the stock market investment. My father got caught with this too. So they take your retirement, and the stocks that they're talking about is fake. It don't exist. Wow. Some of it you can't even find in the ticker. So they took her money, and she died soon after. Like she got they wiped her out, right? So my pops, he didn't get wiped out, but he lost a certain amount of money, and he told me about it afterwards. And I said, Dad, don't invest in this stock. I can't even find it. I said, what's the stock symbol? And at that time, I had a little stock investment club. This was years ago, like 15 years ago, 2001, 2002. So that's more than 15. But I had a stock investment club, and I'm like, let me see the ticker, let me see how it's doing. He said, well, there's not no ticker, it's private. And I was like, so that means what they telling you the value, they just telling you, there's no way for you to check.
No face. And I think, and that's lack of information is what they also play on. So
Right.
it's, if you're not knowledgeable, and that's why people need to, like, going back to do your homework before you invest in something. Like, because everybody wants a quick rich scheme and get rich, and it's the same way if somebody was to invest on the stock market. If you haven't been doing it, you don't want to put your whole haul into it. You might want to penny pinch, but a lot of platforms is gearing toward the electronic funds transfer, right? So on WhatsApp, on Cash App, you got the option to buy stock,
Right.
and buy Bitcoin.
Right.
So these are all, platforms and scams. I'm not gonna say scams. These are avenues to get you to bring money in.
Because you transfer it to somebody else. So they're like, send me this to my Cash App, send me this to that, or send this to this wallet. So a person tried to scam me just recently. This is one of the reasons why I brought up, like, all people mean, right? And the person reached out on a platform that I'm subscribed to, and I made a comment, and then the person responded to the comment as if they was the person, right? As if they was the podcaster. And I was like, okay. So then they're like, send me a message to Telegram. So I was like, so I do have Telegram when I want to use it, then I deactivate it when I don't want to use it. So I said, oh, let me play along with this a little bit. So I went, boom, got on Telegram. I'm a curious person. I'm a person not just curious. I like challenges. So, and I'm a tinkerer, and I like to solve problems, right? So I'm like, okay, I knew it was a scam off the bat, right? So the person's talking all cryptic. There's a way you can make things happen, and you could get 10%. So they gave me this site to go to. They gave me this site. So I went to another free tip. I went to my virtual machine, and I opened up the site in my virtual machine, which means it can't affect my computer because it's a virtual machine. Opened it up, and I'm looking at the platform, and I'm like, okay, let me look it up in bbb.org, bad reviews. And this platform is saying, oh, we give you percentage for all the coin that you purchase to us, we'll give you a percentage of the coin. Like you have it in a bank account, but they was talking between 5 and 10% interest. So I was like, why would it generate 5 to 10% interest? So, we lend out collectively, okay, so they saying they do what the bank do, but they got bad reviews. I looked at the reviews. So pay attention to the reviews. If somebody say, I invested in this platform and I was not able to sell my coin, probably a scam.
Yeah.
Because they got your money now. Or they got your actual coin, and what they do is they take your coin and transfer it to other wallets, but they put on this website that you have all these gains. So that happened to a family member of mine. They said, "Oh, you got $900,000." They invested 14,000 or 9,000. Oh, you got 900,000. First of all, that never happens, right? So again, this is greed. This is because people are naive. They don't understand how investment works. They looking for a quick payday in a short amount of time. Nothing happens that way.
They look for
So they was like, okay, you got nine, and then the person was like, I got $900,000. I want to take out 100,000, and then they hit you with this. It's gonna cost you $5,000 in fees to get the 100,000 out. So that person sends $5,000
of real
money, in a fake website that shows you these fake gains that you got. And then they say, oh, there was another fee that has to be paid, $2,500, and then and it's never going to end. So all they're doing is extract the money from you. But then they want to clean their tracks. In order for us to make the final transaction, you have to allow us access to your machine to make sure there's no software on it that steals or could crash our site. And then you let them in your machine, and they clean up all traces of themselves.
Wow.
That's the scam. And you literally sitting there broke.
Dang.
Like, that's the scam.
That's a lot of people that went through that. I got scammed, not for crypto, but some of these dummy fake websites. And once again, I should have did EEO. It was some nice sneakers, and I used my Cash App because I use my Cash App for everything. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And they never sent the sneakers.
Oh.
So it was a fake website. It had some reviews, but I didn't do any research, and that's what I'm trying to say about the lack of research, because they're creating these websites, they're creating these platforms to extract real-time money from people. And it wasn't greed, it was trying to find something for a lower price, right? So it's going back to my emotions. I emotionally wanted these sneakers that I thought was a real site, and it really wasn't. Spinning back to the Cash App, that's another thing. Like, my Cash App done been hacked like 3 or 4 times. I don't know how this keep happening. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in real time, somebody was using my Cash App in Chicago to rent a limousine. So, these websites, when we put our information up there in the virtual world, all type of things can happen to it. People can create a whole new identity off just small information of being on a website. So, not only cryptocurrency is, we have to be aware and pay attention of where we put information at.
So that's the other big thing, information. So cybersecurity, the biggest thing that's being stolen is not money, it's information. So you have these ransomware attacks. You have this is my field, right? So information is powerful because they could actually create more accounts, right? And they could, if they have your social security number and certain details about you, they could create fake credit cards. They could create all these things, right? And again, back to the crypto and back to the scams, crypto and cyber crime, I'm going to say. I was watching one show where they were talking about how people was able to get millions of dollars from unemployment. And they was doing scams. So they was like, they found a vacant house, abandoned house. They used that address. They found somebody. So on the dark web, like places like Silk Road and all these places, they was able to buy people's identities. Like, they collected this information, which they sold, name, social security number, this, that, and the third. And they used that to set up multiple unemployment claims. And they got millions of dollars, but the actual person was stuck with the bill.
Which happened to a lot of people. I know a lot of people that had to pay taxes back off money that they didn't even get. And
the tax is another one.
Yeah,
you have these tax scams, tax return scams.
What people don't pay attention, companies sell your information as well. Right? Companies sell your information. So when we think these places or these entities are not selling information, they are. Right. If you look at, if you download an app it asks you, do I have permission to go in your contacts? Do I have permission to do? They're asking you, do they have these permission? And you're giving them access to all these things.
Yep. Telegram definitely does.
So,
Access to your pictures, your content, or everything is asking for.
And a most important thing, people are not like the permission. The permission. Go back to the permission thing. Is I was at a center and they had avatar of like most of the kids, right, and staff. They had they picture up avatar, and they don't even know that they gave permission for their likeliness.
Oh, the likeness. Yes.
So now they can use your face, that avatar, in anything they want to because you gave permission. You can't sue.
Well, isn't that like Facebook? When you have a Facebook account, every picture becomes property of Facebook in a sense.
Oh,
yeah, people don't read it. The agreements.
Yeah.
I remember one time my daughter wanted to play a video game and she wanted to install it, and the game said we need to install a software on your computer to make sure your computer's not cheating, that you don't have any cheating software. And this software ran and scanned your computer, which means it had access to everything in your computer. So, of course, because I'm in this field, my daughter's laptop doesn't have an admin account. She can't install software. She needs me to do it. So when I read it, I said, no, I'm not installing that. And she was like, why not? I said, because look what it's asking for. It's asking you for all the rights to your computer. They're going to monitor you. They could turn your camera on. They could film you. They could anything. So she was like, oh, I didn't know that. So you're talking about these permissions. All of that come with software that you purchase. Windows, all of it has some kind of licensing issue where they have this privacy, security. Mac has it. Like, for instance, we were talking about, Mac has this thing called Do Not Track.
Yeah.
They was doing that, but they was tracking you. And what do they do with the data? You see what I'm saying?
And that's what nobody's asking. Where's all this data going, and what are they doing with all the data? Like, you can look up something on in your phone, and then it appear on the same feed of your Instagram or your Facebook or something. It's right there. It's almost like playing mind games with you to remind you, hey, don't forget this right here. So
right. I mean, I could give you a class on that too. You got limited time, but I know how that stuff works.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a programmer. I know how this stuff works. I was in hardware for almost 30 years and programming. No, I could tell you, I know how this stuff back in. I'm a computer geek. That's what they call, they used to call us back in the day.
Yes.
I'm one of those, right? So I could go in, right? But back on the scams and the crimes, trillions of dollars is lost every year to that, and there's no effort being put in catching these people.
Well, I don't think that they can.
They can.
That's what I'm saying, because there's so many. When the government gotta hire hackers, right, to find or help against the hackers, that's saying that the playing field is way beyond what the scope is of what people thought it was. Once we went into the digital world, it opened up a whole Pandora box where it is now a pit hole of darkness, because you don't know what you're going to find going on in some of these things. So when you talk about cryptocurrency, when you talk about scamming, these things go hand in hand, because there's always somebody home, in the bathroom, in their room, on a laptop, coming up with a scheme how to get your information.
Right.
I will say this, I just want to say this, like just doing some research, it's over 100 million people not in the job market in America.
That's like a third, a little less than a third of the population.
So just know that things about to be cut, health insurance, it won't be probably cut off 100%, but there's going to be a lot of things that's going to be scaled back. So I say all that to say, make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's, and don't get robbed for your little savings that you didn't save and stuff like that, because people don't understand, like your pension and your 401k, all that's aligned to the stock market.
That's right. They invested.
So, look at your portfolio, You know what I'm saying? Do some research because, like I say, people have worked 20, 30 years and then companies just dissolved.
Well, stock markets fluctuate. They just like Bitcoin is more volatile. So, in addition to my IT background, I sell life insurance and I'm studying for my Series 6 investor's license now, right? So I'm in this stuff, right? And you put your money into a pension or your job pension, invest in the stock market's doing bad. I remember I worked at one organization that had a managed fund pension program, and I was not part of it because at that time I was studying stocks, and I was like, I'm not doing this. And the guy had to come to the entire organization, and it's a famous organization in New York, and he was like, we lost your whole pension.
God,
There was nothing. The investments that they made bellied up. So savings makes sense. Long-term savings makes sense. Savings is not earnings, but it makes some sense. When you invest, it has to be it has to be moderate or mild. Money, like, I'm gonna give you an example. 5%, 3%. That's because it's gotta be money that you're willing to lose, it's not gonna hurt you.
and impact.
Right? So, but then you want to invest wisely, right? Most people go for the big returns. Some people are aggressive. It's like gambling. Well, it's not really supposed to be gambling, but they go for the big return, and because they go for the big return, there's also a big chance of you losing everything.
And it's going back to what you said earlier about the greed.
Yeah,
like the greed. You know, everybody want to double and triple their investment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's the way. But I don't. Realistically, it doesn't work like that. Like
I know somebody who ran for a pump and dump. Pump and dump is stocks.
Yeah.
Right? They tell you, oh, this stock is great, and they tell you, or they may tell you the value, or you see it online, and people put like a lot of money, they paychecks in this stuff, and see the stock boom, 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 blow up, and they're like, oh, I got $14 million on Friday, and Monday, all their stock is worth a penny. Because what they did is what they was doing with what I told you what they do with the crypto. They make it pump up. As soon as you invest your money, they take all the money out, and it's just worth nothing. So same thing with the stock. It's a pump and dump, they call it. Yeah, it's a bad look. I always say, first of all, if you have income coming in, if you have a job, be thankful, right? Be grateful, be thankful that you have money coming in. Have a business, be grateful. But don't look for a get-rich-quick scheme because somebody else is going to get rich quick off of it. It's a scheme. It's a scam. That's why it's designed that way.
Man, I remember there's always been Ponzi scams, man. When you look at Bernie Madoff, how he had a great run with the Ponzi scam. And that's the same thing with some of these banks, the same Ponzi scam. Silicon Valley, you look at the bank, bad investments, you know what I'm saying, it got to close. There's about 2 to 3 more banks that potentially might go through the same situation, right? People have to be aware, pay attention, do research, and don't be greedy. Like, you got to humble yourself when making an investment. You know what I'm saying? Because that will show some type of patience. But to some of the small-time businesses out there, hit us for commercials, ads, some of the things we got going on, promote your business, your shop, whatever you do, and also looking to collaborate with some other content creators on some things. So, once again, we just want to give some things and have a dialogue and bring some awareness to what's going on in the community. Pay attention and know that with the whole debt situation, deficit that we're going through, they're supposed to pass the bill by July. Let's see if they pass the bill. Pay attention to what's going on because you got a grandma, grandfather, aunties. They Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security can be affected by this. So
you're saying something which we got to follow up with in another conversation. Is our local politics, and because you vote for people who vote on this stuff. And I'm not talking about president. I'm not talking about vice president. I'm talking about in your local community. You vote. We vote. There's always these elections for stuff, and people tend to blow them off. right? And I'm not going to vote for this person. And then they need something. And then the person that's in office who they did not vote for don't feel like they owe them anything and don't want to do what they need. So local elections, I'm big on local elections. Vote in your interest, but people, this don't work, the government's this. You know what? I'm not denying that stuff is exists, but I do know enough to know that you want to have a hand in picking local.
I think that's very important. I just went to Albany to advocate for an increase for human service workers. They haven't got an increase in I think like 15 years. I heard some sad stories up there. People with master degrees in shelters and getting stuff from the food pantry or have to move back in with their parents after working in these sectors, giving their blood, sweat, and tears and commitment to this sector, to helping people, improving communities, saving and changing lives and families. And what I asked was, can we get like 5 to 10% of the revenue, cannabis revenue that they generate in New York, you know what I'm saying, to throw back into the human service thing? And they kind of laughed at that, but that goes to show you who some of our elected officials are, right? So they want us to do the work, but they want to compensate people to do the work.
That sounds like scam to me.
That's definitely scam.
That sounds like a
You know what I'm
scam.
saying?
So you got government scams, you got stock market scams, you got crypto scams. Listen,
we call those pork chop preachers, man. You know what I'm saying? So just be aware. But this is D Chorus.
After Elemental, thank
This
you
is
all.
Through Our Lens. And once again, like, share, subscribe. Leave something in the comment. Peace.
Peace.